Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is 10 a.m. in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. Remember, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up with the premiere event streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 7 a.m. in Australia or 10 p.m. if you're in the UK. If you're not sure, you can always just look in my panels below my stream. You'll see a countdown to when the next stream starts, and you can find out that way. Or you can follow the channel and get a reminder via Twitch. I hope all you guys and girls are well. We're going to continue working on the Temple of the Winds. We've created it in 3D Studio Max. We're going to texture it up in Algorithmic Substance Painter, and then we're going to take it into Eon View to do some beauty renders. Remember, as always, if you've got any questions while I work, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If you just want to pop in and say hello, that is always welcome. But if all you want to do is watch, that's completely fine. I'm just going to grab a quick drink before I start. Oh, much better. All right. Legmog, hello to you too. How are you, buddy? What you been up to? How's things going with that that girl you met online? And how's the gym going too, by the way? It's good to see you though. I hope you're well. So yes, we're going to continue working on the Temple of the Winds. We were having some problems yesterday with algorithmic crashing. I updated to the new version of 2019.1.1 that Algorithmic released a few days ago, and it kept crashing. So I reverted back. We'll see how we go today. I don't know whether it's Algorithmic's new update or what. We'll find out soon enough. So yes, this is the model whoop, I hit the wrong button. This is the model we're working on. We're going to take it into Substance Painter bit by bit and texture it up. That's the plan. We're working on this lower piece here at the moment. Legmog says, goodness, not good. I gave up e-cigs last week. Trying complete cold turkey. Started last Monday. Caved on Wednesday to Friday, albeit on a small, piddly, low-strength e-cig. And went cold turkey again on Saturday. Well, at least it's an e-cig and not a normal cigarette, because those normal cigarettes are really bad for you. At least with an e-cigarette, you don't get all the tar and stuff that you get with a normal smoke. I can relate, because I used to smoke as well. I gave up about 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. Yeah, probably about 6 years ago. So I know how hard it can be, and it's the first 2 days I find are the worst. If you can get over the first 2 days, then gradually it gets better, and after a month you should be fine. At least that's what with me. Legmog says, yes, I haven't regularly smoked normal cigarettes since 2010, but I have been a huge vapor since then. What made you decide to stop vaping? You just don't want to have any nicotine in your body? The jury's still out on just how good for you vaping is. It's much better for you than smoking. So if you're a smoker, I would advise you to go to vaping because it's much, much better for your body. Nicotine is a poison, of course. That's what it's classed as, the poison. So putting that in your body is probably not a good thing, but at least if you're vaping and not smoking, it's better. Legmog says, I did give up for 2 years in the past, complete nicotine cold turkey, but I fell back into the habit back in 2017. I used to find, once I'd given up smoking, the hardest things were when I was drinking coffee and if I was drinking alcohol. Those two things with cigarettes or even e-cigs just seem to go together really well. So maybe try and avoid those two things, I guess. I know it's tough. And yeah, if you do need your nicotine, then please do it via vaping. That's my advice anyway. I'm not a medical doctor, so take it with a grain of salt. But I do think that vaping is much better for you if you need to have the nicotine. Of course, some people vape without nicotine as well. They just use flavoring. I don't know if I'd probably recommend doing that. Even if you're not using it for nicotine, I don't know how good for you putting vape into your lungs is. It's really only liquid vapor. Well, it's PG and VG. They're the two things that are mixed with flavoring as far as vaping goes. Legmonk says, yeah, the way I think about it is as safe as e-cigs seem. There is a big question mark hanging over it. People were thinking regular cigarettes were that's true, were absolutely fine for you for hundreds of years before the science came out. Well, that is very true. There was a time when no one thought anything about smoking. They didn't think it was harmful at all. We're talking like the 1950s sort of thing. Now we know that's not true and just how bad for you it is. So you are correct. The jury is out on vaping. They don't know. Some people say it's okay. Some people say it's not. It's probably better not to put things in your lungs. Let's put it that way. If you can avoid putting anything in your lungs, smoking anything down your lungs, that's the best way to go. My point is just that if you crave nicotine, my personal opinion is that vaping is better for you than smoking a cigarette. You get less crap in your system through vaping than you would with a cigarette. Even the people that I think are still on the fence about vaping would agree with that point. There's not as much rubbish in vaping as there is in smoking a cigarette. Legmonk says, even in my lifetime you had the top tobacco CEOs claiming that nicotine was not an addictive chemical. Well, we know it is. We know that that's crap. Nicotine is incredibly addictive. Legmog says, yeah, in the early 1900s, doctors would prescribe cigarettes to you because it cleared the lungs apparently well. And we know better now, don't we? Cleared the lungs. Please, come on. Man. These doctors. This is why you should always, I see news reports constantly where they say microwave cooking will give you cancer, coffee will give you cancer. They're always coming up with something, some brilliant idea of theirs that they think is causing whatever. Take it all with a grain of salt. I think common sense comes into play, really. But having said that, like I said, nicotine, it's a poison. If you can avoid putting it in your body, do. Legmark says, yeah, the ultimate, though, is if it took hundreds of years before people realised cigarettes had very bad health effects, how many hundreds of years before people all of a sudden say, oops, turns out these things also cause massive problems? Well, we'll find out soon enough. There's lots of vapors around, and I guess eventually if it's going to cause problems, we're going to start seeing it in the, showing up. Vaping's been around for quite a while now. Legmark says, and this is coming from a huge advocate of e-cigs. Strange Exper? I'm sorry if I mangled your name. What is this? This is a Temple of the Winds that I'm creating in 3D Studio Max. We are going to be taking the bits and pieces in, or I have been, into Substance Painter. So that we can texture it up, and that's what we're doing at the moment. So I'm just going through gradually and texturing up the different bits and pieces of the model. What's going to happen is I'm going to put a fountain. This central piece here is a pond, and I'm going to have water coming out of these lion's heads, plants inside the top of the urn thing here. And then we're going to have flames around the outside of these decorative pieces that go around the outside of the terrace. We're going to be doing that in Eon View, so I'm going to set up a full-on 3D environment in Eon View to render out the beauty shots. I'm creating this model to sell on my 3D store, so that's what it's being created for. And I may put it in the game, so I'm going to be working on a game using UE4 as the next project after this one. There's a game trailer on my YouTube channel, and also under the video section on Twitch here on my Twitch page. If you want to check that out, it's called The House on the Hollow. I made a cinematic for it using UE4 last year. I'm going to turn that cinematic into a game. So that's the next project, and I may use this model in that game. I'll see how I go. So strange expert. I think that's right. My apologies if I, like I said, mangled your name. So yes, that's the plan. That's what we're doing, and so we're texturing it up at the moment in Substance Painter. I may take a few of the assets into Mari by the Foundry, just to do a bit of an overpaint on in that texturing program as well. Not all the assets though, just a couple. Legmog says, but one thing I've noticed is just how tired I'm feeling. From what I read, nicotine makes your heart beat faster and makes your brain pump adrenaline around your body. So I was taking puffs of my e-cig constantly. That cannot be good for you, to be in a constant state of adrenaline, fast heart beating, even when you're just lazing about your office chair for well, that's true. And I can imagine, I could see how it could probably increase your heart rate. Well, thank you, Strange Expert. I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing it correctly. My apologies if I'm not. Thanks. But you are correct, Legmog. It's probably not a good idea. Let's jump straight into Substance Painter, I think. So, yeah, I support you not smoking e-cigs, and I doubly support you not smoking cigarettes, because they're bad. Very bad. Let's open up the asset we were working on yesterday, which will be, I believe it's this one. So yes, I did downgrade Substance Painter back to the previous version because it was crashing yesterday on the new version. So this piece here is actually the border edge that goes around the pond. Legmog says, so for me to suddenly go back to a normal state of bodily function without elevated heart rate, adrenaline, to me is a massive downgrade. Just feeling like normal people makes me feel very tired. Listen, I feel tired and I don't smoke, so I can relate. Legmog says, so it's hard to, it's had the unintended consequence of being great for my sleeping pattern. Well, when I stopped smoking, 6 years ago, I found, like I said, the first 2 days I had problems sleeping. It was terrible. I was, on edge all the time. I couldn't sleep. For 2 days. That lasted for 2 days. That wasn't very nice. My other fear with stopping smoking was that I would gain weight, because I used to be a real little butterball, like a real little round butterball. When I started smoking, I lost a lot of weight. So my fear with giving up smoking was that I would gain the weight again, which didn't happen. It's that hand-to-mouth thing. They say why you eat more when you give up smoking, because you're used to putting your hand to your mouth. Maybe because I was conscious of it, though, that didn't really happen with me, thankfully. Strange Expert says, I'm Turkish, I know very little English, drawing looks nice, thank you. Well, your English is fine, Strange Expert. I hear this from people that aren't English speakers all the time, but generally, it's fine, I can understand you. Your English is completely fine. I'm glad you like the 3D model as well. So yeah, good on you, Legmog, for stopping smoking. You know what I noticed when I stopped smoking? I could taste and smell things so much better. It was amazing. It was like incredible, the difference between how much more I could taste and smell once I'd stopped smoking. That and the fact too that if you smoke cigarettes, it stinks. I can be walking down the street out in the open, and someone can be like, 100 meters or 100 yards, let's say, ahead of me, and they're smoking, and I can smell it all the way back, back. It stinks. It stinks. That and the fact that it yellows your fingers, it's a horrible thing to do. And but I know if you are a smoker how hard it can be to stop. Trust me, I've been there, I know. Legmog says, but yeah, on Wednesday to Friday I found an old e-cig lying around and started on that. After 2 days of cold turkey, after about 10 seconds of the first puff, I could feel my heart was noticeably pounding a lot faster, and I just felt that adrenaline buzz. Legmog says, I thought, man, this is how I always was. Well, that's right. Yeah, I think, yeah, well, that's right. You notice it more once you've stopped because your body's had a chance to like flush all of it out of your system. So when you have a drag again, you can really notice it. You don't notice it when you're smoking all the time because you're constantly in that buzzing state. So yeah, you are right. You really do notice it. So you realize what an effect it has on your body. Legmog says, because from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, I would be puffing on the e-cig non-stop. Yep. I think I've noticed a couple of, I'm just going to throw this smart mask down. A few streamers actually smoke e-cigs. It seems to be quite popular with some streamers as well. It's generally very trendy to do anyway. It's become a trendy thing to do, to be a vapor and smoke an e-cig. I wouldn't advise anyone go into that trend just to be trendy though, because anything you suck into your lungs is not good. Strange Expert says, what is your occupation? Do you do modeling in movie or game? Can you please say slowly? Okay. Strange Expert, I used to work in games. Then I worked in film. Now I work in architectural visualization. So I've always done 3D. I've been an environment artist and a technical artist. Now I work in ArchViz, so I do houses and apartments and all that sort of stuff. But I used to work in games and I've also worked in film. So I've done it all. So yes, my occupation was an environment artist. I've also been a technical artist. Now I do more photogrammetry, which is taking photos of objects and turning those into a 3D model. And that's basically what this project was about on Twitch. I wanted to show you people watching my channel how you could take photogrammetry and change it to make a unique looking model. Android Lust, it's good to see you. Phil is a 3D god. Oh, thank you, Android Lust. You make me blush. It's not true. Besides animation, that's exactly right. Legmog is the animation god. Yeah, no, my animation skills are terrible. I'm the first to admit it. I'll admit it. But then, you know, I never pretend to be an animator. I actually don't like this mask. I'm going to try a different mask. Well, let's see what else we got. I'm just also going to remove this. Remove mask. There we go. So let's find some other mask that might be cool. Let's try this one. I'm after a mask that will give me a little bit more control over my mixing. If I can't find one, then I'll just do it by hand. Might turn global invert on and we'll start to play with this a little bit. Texture 2. Strange Expert says, thank you very much. I think I understand a little. If you don't understand, ask me in the chat and I'll explain it better for you. It's fine. Don't you ask any questions if you don't understand anything, or if you want me to repeat something, Strange Expert, and I'll repeat it for you, or I'll try and I'll try and explain it for you. Legmog says, yes, would you want to see the most recent work in progress for the pilot episode? It's now 3 minutes long, so no worries if that's too long to sit and watch. I would, but let's do it at the end of the stream, Legmog. I've got to get this model done. I do want to see it, because you guys know I love watching it work. Thank you for the follow, Strange Expert, as well. Thank you for following my channel. I do appreciate it. So thank you very much, Strange Expert, for the follow. Yes, I do want to see it, Legmog, but do you think we could do it maybe towards the end of the stream? We can set some time aside then. And of course, post it on the Discord server, Legmog, too. Anyone new to my channel, feel free to join the Discord server. I've just popped the link in chat there. Only subs can post links in my Twitch chat, but everyone can post a link on my Discord server. There's a section there that you can show your work off in the gallery. There's a tips and tricks section. There's also, what else is there? General chat. There's a whole lot of different chat channels that you can interact with the Phildos on the server. Everyone's very friendly, very helpful. If you've ever got any questions, you can drop into the Discord server and ask away. And if I can't help you, I'm sure one of the other guys and girls there can. Android Lust says he wants to see it. Well, there you go, Legmog. Pop a link in the Discord server and we will check it out. Far be it from me to tell my community what they can and can't watch. Okay, well, I'm just going to play with these, the mixing on this a little bit. Just going to turn this top layer off so I can see what it's doing. Legmog says still lots of work to be done. The animation is only about 40% complete still. Okay, well I know how long animation takes, it not being an animator particularly. Legmog says, sure, I'll post it in the gallery and you can all check it out. I will show it on the stream, Legmog, for sure. Just not right immediately, but I will. You posted it, okay. We will check it out in 2 seconds. Let me get this asset done and then we can check it out. Because this texturing work is taking me much longer than I anticipated. I really got to get it done. Because I got to move on to start working on that game and again. Let's maybe play with the curvature. Curvature's not giving us a lot. Sniper Girl, it's good to see you, Sniper Girl. How are you? And I like your van too, Sniper Girl. Sniper Girl posted pictures of her van she's working on the Discord server and it looks amazing. You've done some great work. Strange, I'll call you Strange. Strange Expert says, I don't have any problem with asking, but I'm having some problems in understanding what I hear in English. I don't want to bother you too much. You're not bothering me. I'm on Twitch to chat to you guys. That's, you know, that's what I like doing on Twitch. I like talking to people in chat. So you never bother me. If you don't understand something, just ask. So if you don't understand an English word, feel free to ask me and I'll explain if I can. Legmog says, honestly, don't worry about checking out soon. Get all your stuff sorted first. Okay, I will, Legmog. Android Lust says, hey, Sniper Girl, Yahoo. Sniper Girl says, doing really well, making another set of lows, hoping to have another set baked out tonight. I'm good. Yes, no, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Trying to get this. Oh, there we go. It's the world space normal is the one that I'm looking for. Sniper Girl was watching yesterday when I was having problems with Substance Painter crashing and I couldn't find the texture I wanted to use again, but I watched my stream back, Sniper Girl, and I found it that way. Man. I think what I might do here is I'm just going to make a small change to the texture here. I want that lichen to be a little bit less green. So I'm just going to pull back a little bit, I think, on the color. Just want to take out a little bit. I want a little bit of green in it, but not a lot. We want to get this texture right because I'm going to use this as a base for all of the borders on that terrace. So if we get it right now, then we won't have a problem later on. I'll create my own smart material based on my settings here. Legmog says, but when you do play it, the main feedback I'd love to know is, do you ultimately think it's a fun, entertaining piece? My target age audience for this is kind of 7 to 14 age range. Okay, well, I'll give you my opinion when I check it out. Legmog says, and do you understand what is happening? Okay. Strange Xper says, my nick is Strange plus Xper. In Turkish, I can't even pronounce. I won't try and pronounce that Turkish word. So Strange Xper. Okay, got it. I'll try and remember that Strange Xper. Sniper Girl says to Legmug, would it be something that appropriate for a 3-year-old? Asking because could try it with my niece. I would have thought anyone below 14 would be cool, wouldn't they, Legmog? You're not doing anything. If you're keeping it 7 to 14 age range, I don't think you're going to be swearing or anything, so that should be cool. Because we all know Legmog likes to swear. No, he doesn't. I'm kidding. Well, I don't think he does. He might. So I wanted to sort of introduce the lichen here just to add a little bit of colour because I don't want the model to look too grey. Android Lust says, pretty good, checking out your van looks cool. Might have a suggestion, feel free to not consider it. Well. I don't think I really need to do any hand painting on this one. I think we should be okay. I'm going to do a quick save here because I just don't trust any program not to crash. And I'm going to create a smart material now based on these materials. And first thing I need to do is I need to create a folder. I'm going to call this, what will I call it? I'll call it Temple Borders. Temple Stone Borders. I actually always like to put a my in front of it so it's easy for me to find inside my smart materials that it's the one that I've created, not one that comes with Substance. And now that we've popped them in the folder, let's create a smart material. It's just that simple, boys and girls. Sniper Girl says to Android Lust, actually thinking of modelling the wheels and add a metal plate with spikes. Legmog says, I've had this conversation with my friends. They've seen this clip and think it could be an easy fit for a 3 to 6 age range too. Quite possibly it does, although I think the work in progress nature of it so far would make it very confusing to watch for a 3-year-old. There's no environment yet and the character spaces do not move emote. So much of the effect may be lost there. Plus much of the animation is still very simplistic. Well, they're all very good points. Let's export this so I can bring it into Max. So I'm going to export my textures. Textures are called Pond Edge, so that should be cool. We won't do it at 4K though, that's a bit extreme. Let's jump back into Max. We'll give Max a second because when you've got Max and Substance open, because they both use the DirectX viewport, it takes them a minute to sort themselves out. Sniper Girl says okay. Sniper Girl says yeah, everything should be at 8K res. Well, everything could be. If you really wanted it to be, I could do that. Might be a bit overkill, I think, though. Let's zoom in here so we can select that, and I can open up my materials, and let's create a DirectX shader. Down, down, down we go. Just move those over so they're nice and lined up because I've got OCD that way. Let's create a DirectX shader. And we're going to change from HLSL to interactive. Let's load up our normal map. Let me find what it saved it under. What did it save it under? Inner ring, inner support. So this is why I should name my stuff. Oh, there we go, border edge. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. So we want the normal map. And we want the color map. And the metallic map, which should be this one, I believe. No, that's the height. It'll be this one. And the roughness, which should be this one, I think. Yep. Let's turn those on. So we're going to use the normal map, color map, the metallic map, and the roughness map. And I'm just going to assign that bitmap texture to that shader so I know which one it is, which is this one here. It doesn't do anything for the model that we see, it just helps me visually work out what this shader is if I hook this up. Otherwise it just shows me a grey circle and I don't know which object that texture belongs to. Okay, let's assign that to that border. Why did you not? Why you not show up for me? What's going on? Oh, because I assigned the wrong thing to it. That's the one we want to assign. There we go. Sniper Girl says to Android last posted a reference of what I'm thinking about using as a reference for the spikes. You've got to go. You have to watch your niece. No problem, Sniper Girl. Thanks for being here and popping in. You watch that little niece. I'm noticing it's a little bit dark. Her parents have to get a battery for one of their cars. Ah, okay. You're playing the responsible adult and looking after the niece. Good for you. I hope she doesn't run you too ragged. Thanks for popping in, Sniper Girl. I'm just noticing it's a little dark, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the shader unique. I'm going to open up the shader itself, and we're just going to change the amount of lights from 1 to 2. So instead of 1, actually I'm going to go to 3. And because we made a change to the shader, I need to export my graph. I'm just going to call this one border edge. Because if I don't save it and just close the node editor, it won't remember those changes and it will revert back. But you notice since I've done that now it's looking much lighter. Which is what we want. We don't want it to look black. We want to be able to see it. Alright. So what was I going to do next? I could do the bars, or I could move on to continue doing the gold railing decisions. Not sure. Let me think about it for a second. While I'm thinking about it, let's check out Legmog's trailer. So I'm just going to copy the link here and we will have a look. So let me just open up my browser. If you're new to my channel and you want to find out more about me, you can go to phildoes3d.com There's links to my art station. You can read up about me, all that sort of stuff here, if you're curious. Okay, so this is the trailer for Legmog. I'm just going to pause the music.
Victory! They're getting on his black spark. Man, why cultist goo so sour? Maybe because we stole the master hacker from him? Back. We stole it back, Plug. There's a difference. I don't think they see it that way. You worry too much. Get him! Gimme! Whoa! I think I'm gonna be sick. If you want this, come and get it! Ah! Oh, yes! Hold on, Plug. Yes! Oh, not today. Happy landings. Oh, too fast. Core temperature overload. Reduce speed now. Repeat, reduce speed now.
Take that. My face. Like, oh my god, I'm so lucky.
Yeah!
I've just paused it there because you're using some commercial music and I don't want my VOD muted on Twitch or on YouTube when it goes up there. So, but it looks great, very funny. I think, yeah, really nice. I got a laugh out of it, so I'm sure a 7 to 14-year-old would get a laugh out of it as well. Very nice work though. Let me put my music back on. Let me catch up with the chat now. Android Lost says, Legmug, you're a fan of skateboarding games on the stream. Board slide, Android Lost says, you can't show this to a 7-year-old. You just killed that. I don't think he was dead. I think that's cool. But no, I loved it. Loved it, Legmug. I think it looks great. And like I said, I got a laugh out of it, so I'm sure a 7 to 14-year-old would too. If it amuses me, I'm sure it will amuse them. But it's looking really good. And yes, my apologies again for just cutting it a little short because of that the music at the end there. Because YouTube are terrible now, they will cut your video. Well, they'll. It's just a pain. It's a pain to get music unmuted on YouTube. And Twitch will silence part of my VOD. Don't worry, Android. I was thinking that too. There's going to be another shortly after where it confirms that they're not dead. I didn't get the impression he was dead. He was talking. He can't be dead if he's talking. And I like the gag with the couch as well, where she congratulates herself on being lucky and then gets hit with the wall. I thought that was cool. So I'm sure it's going to look really cool when you get the backgrounds and stuff in Legmob. I also really like the effect you use for the skateboards, that blue line. That looked really cool. And I love the camera shot where you go up the pipe of one of the skateboards to look at that power thing inside explode. I thought that was a really cool shot as well. So all up, nice work. You guys all do nice work. Okay, so what am I going to work on? I'm going to work on the outer bars here. Now, I'm creating this model as a kit bash. And for anyone that doesn't know, a kit bash is a model that you can put bits and pieces together to make a new type of model. So in this case, the main model here has 3 steps. But the kit bash is going to allow you to have no steps, 1 step, 2 steps or 4 steps. And what I want to do is I want to reuse the texture I use on these bits for all the other bits. That just saves it's better if we can reuse the textures. So what that means though is I can't texture just this one up because we're going to be using the same texture for this one. So I need to texture this one up. And we can transfer that texture over to the other one then. So I'm just going to open up this group. Select what I want to texture up, and we're going to send this railing section over to Substance Painter. And Legmog says, yeah, I was thinking there weren't enough funny moments in it. My original idea for the end was much different, but I felt this kind of wacky Looney Tunes ending to the bad guys just worked better. It does. And I've worked on a Looney Tunes game, so, I know what I'm talking about. And actually, one of the games I worked on, I did a similar thing to, how you had the guy hit the wall? I did that in the game as well. Yosemite Sam was trying to escape from a prison and he was in a mining cart that was on a rail, and the mining cart hit a rock and threw him out of the cart, and he hit the side of the cliff. So yeah, no, that's very Looney Tunes. Alright, what do we call it? What's this one called? This one is called, I'm just going to collapse my stack before I do anything. We're going to call this one main outer rail. Main outer rail. Moan outer rail. I can't spell. Or I can't type. One of the two. There we go. Andrew Loss says, well, if the green and black one didn't die, the girl got squashed. Legmonk says, thankfully the light bulb species is a lot more tougher and durable than humans, so such a thing would simply only severely wound you, not kill. Android Lost says, I assume they're called bright sparks, but I didn't want to be wrong. I think they are. Let's send this over to Substance Painter. Again, I'm using that plugin you can download for free from Substance website, from their forum. It's going to complain when I try and do it first. It's a permissions thing. So let's just do that again, and it should be good. Okay, let's start by baking out the low and baking the maps out, I'm just going to use the low poly as the base. I'm just going to cancel that because I want to change my resolution. So I'll do that again. Okay. Legmog says, no, Bright Spark is the name of the main character. He's the Prince of the Lightbulb Kingdom. I haven't 100% come up with the name of what the species is. I'm thinking Luma or Lumina. Either one of those would be cool. It's hard, isn't it, Legmog? I've got to come up with some sort of storyline for the game that I'm creating as well, and I have come up with a base storyline for it. That's on the website for the game, but coming up with puzzles and stuff. So I feel for you. It's difficult. Now we did create a smart material that we're using for these railing sections. I created one. I've just got to find it, and we're going to use that. I think it was called the Rusty Gold. I'm pretty sure. But I'll double check. So under mines, we've got columns, stone borders. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Rusty Gold. We're going to do this one by hand. Do some distressing by hand. First thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the top layer here. Not that one, that's the actual group. Turn that one off. Turn that one off. Because this is a larger rail section, we want to just adjust the tiling a little bit. Let's turn the next layer on, which is the gold. The gold doesn't really need to be tiled, it's just a metallic texture. I just want to make sure that we're not getting a repeating pattern happening. We are a little bit, so what I might do is we'll do some distressing by hand, and then I'm going to paint over a couple of these sections so that the pattern doesn't become quite so obvious. Legmog says, yes, Phil, have you ever heard of light writing? It's an effect where you take a long exposure shot and wave a torch around. Yeah, I have heard of that, yep. And the resulting photo looks like a cool laser beam effect, yep, in the shot. I'm hoping when it's all rendered, the laser beams coming out of the hoverboards will look like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that done. And it does look really cool. And it will look really cool to get that effect for the hoverboards. It already looks pretty cool. Alright, let's start doing some distressing on this. So I'm going to add a paint layer. Change my brush to that Dirt 2 brush because I like it so much. It's a good brush for just about anything really, this brush. Grab my pen and start painting. It's okay. Right. But it's coming together really nicely, Legmog. How long is the first episode going to be? What are you shooting for as far as the time goes? Are you shooting for 15-minute episode, 20 minutes? How's the new computer system going too, by the way? I haven't asked you because Legmog updated his PC not that long ago. Just curious. Everything still works cool for you? Android Lust says, what happened to the third guy, Legmog? He's just not in there because it's a prototype? So I'm just going along the edge here and just removing the gold paint because it will have worn off from the edges of the railing. So if anyone's wondering why I'm doing this, that's the reason. It's just to make it look a little bit more believable that the gold paint along the edge here is wearing off. I'm not doing the entire edge everywhere, I'm sort of like leaving gaps here and there as well. God, it's so quiet. You guys got anything interesting planned for the weekend? I think I might have to do some work this weekend. I can't be a total blob like I was last weekend. I was just so tired, you know, so I decided I was just not going to do anything last weekend and just turn into a blob. Slept. But this weekend I think I should get some work done. I've got some stuff at the studio that I need to get finished. Or they'll yell at me. And I don't like it when they yell at me. They won't yell at me. Android Lost says I should be working on stuff this weekend too. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing some stuff. I'll be working this weekend. I work till later during the week anyway, till the early hours of the morning, so I didn't mind taking last weekend off, but I'm going to have to do some work this weekend. A deadline is looming. They want their stuff. What you'll notice I'm doing here too is I'm doing the distressing, particularly around these areas where there's already, where the gold is already worn off. So any of those areas, then I'm making sure I put distressing on the edge. Anywhere here where there is no distressing already, I'm leaving in some spots. Some spots like here, I'll put a little bit in. But I always make sure to put it in where there is already that distressed metallic paint coming off on the model. You know what I mean. So like through here, for instance. Not so much through here because there is none, but particularly through here because there is already. Same through here. So it's not necessarily completely random. There is method to my madness here.
All that you need to know, now that you understand what I'm trying to show you, is that you and I shouldn't be too shy about letting go for once.
Like I said, the good thing about this is we're going to reuse this texture on all of the different terraces, so we don't have to redo it for all of the 4 different pieces. We're just going to reuse the same texture again.
Don't you stay here, don't stay behind, trying to make you feel right, 'cause our stars are alike, can I make up your mind? Follow me to the light, there is so much
Saves us a bit of work.
to in this life, let it sink in, this is where
We can do that without worrying about it too, because they're kit bash pieces. Generally, people are not going to put more than one of them in a render at a time, so like you're not going to have a terrace with no steps with a terrace with 2 steps right beside each other. That's what I mean. Android Us says, do you know the age of the object you did photogrammetry on? I believe it was built in 1916, so it's about 100 years old. From if memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure it was built in 1916 or thereabouts. But we changed it. We've changed it quite a bit, as you saw when the photos I used for the photogrammetry. The columns, for instance, they were very plain, so we've pimped them up a bit, made them look a bit prettier from the original real world terrace. Let's add some distressing through here to better match what's already there, and through here. Make sure I hit a couple of spots in between that aren't distressed. I must get out to see a movie at some stage as well, because I still want to see the Avengers 2. I still want to see Alita. There's a couple of things in the cinemas I wouldn't mind watching. Are we back to the beginning yet? I think we are. Yep. Let's jump to the base now. Android Us says John Wick 3. Yeah, I've seen John Wick 1 and 2. So yeah, I wouldn't mind watching number 3 as well. They're always good movies, fun. Keanu Reeves, not the best actor on the planet, but not terrible. He was good in the John Wick movies anyway. You haven't seen 1 or 2? I can recommend. You should. They're good. I enjoyed both of them. Both 1 and 2. John Wick 1 and 2. They were good. Good action movies. If you have Netflix, they're on Netflix if you want to watch them there as well. I noticed the other day that they're on Netflix. Just making sure that because we have such large rusting here that I bring that up onto the top ledge as well. Let's get a better angle on that so I can see what I'm doing. What is your problem? I don't know. What is your problem, Andrew? Last. They can be quite violent though. I'm going to put that out there immediately for anyone thinking of watching John Wick 1 and 2. But yeah, that's the nature of the action movie. They can be quite violent. I mean, no more violent than any other action movie really, but there is some violence in them. Lots of guns. Legmog says, I'm back, got a bit peckish and decided to go hunting for a camembert cheese. Oh, that'll go straight to your hips, Legmog. Cheese is mega fattening. Mega yummy. I mean, camembert, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Yeah, but it's a very fattening food, cheese. Good for you, though. Cheese is good for you. Actually, I'm really partial to Parmesan cheese, actually. I can eat that by the spoonful. I love Parmesan cheese. I love it. I put it on everything. Everything. Legmog says to Android Lust, the other thug character will make a final appearance at the very end of the scene. Well, there you go. He's got it all worked out. Have you made any, have you had any thoughts, pardon me, of how you're going to promote it, Legmog, or how you're going, thoughts of approaching anyone to do distribution? Because that's important to think about as well. I've already set up a mailing list for press for the game that I'm doing. Even though the game is not quite halfway there yet. Just so I've got a list of names that I can contact for publicity. And that took forever. It took me like days to get this list compiled and put together in Excel. It was just a nightmare. But it's done. Now it's done. Got to cast your net wide because a lot of them will just ignore you. Android Lost says to Legmog was thinking that there's no reason you'd leave him out for no reason. Yeah. going back, I think I might have... What have I done here? No, that's cool. Just want to add a little bit more through here. And through here. Ligmok says, yes, my big plan currently is based on the best case scenario, which is a big if. Number one, successfully fund a Kickstarter. Yeah, Kickstarter's a good idea. Number two, finish the entire pilot episode. Number three, pilot episode become big viral hit online. Four, approach TV studios to talk about doing a whole series, and the fact that it's already been a big viral hit online should give me good leverage in getting a deal. But like I said, it's the best possible case scenario. Well, I think that plan sounds good. I think a Kickstarter is a great idea. I wouldn't do the Kickstarter until you've got something to show people. You see people start a Kickstarter and they've got nothing to show. You're unlikely to get funded that way. If you're going to do a Kickstarter, anyone thinking about doing one, which I might do one for the game as well, make sure you've got something to show people before you start your Kickstarter. You're more likely to reach your Kickstarter goal that way, because people don't want to give you money if they can't see what they're giving you money for, which is fair enough, I guess. So the Kickstarter idea is a great one. Finishing the pilot episode is a good one. Getting the pilot episode to become a viral hit online, though, that's where you need to start thinking about creating a mailing list for the pilot episode, either a public one that people can register with if they're interested, or even just, like I said, creating a list of emails that you can contact, press emails that you can contact to get some promotion for the episode. Know what I mean? Just to get word out there and get it known. Android Lost says, I've never had camembert cheese, it's yummy. So I had to Google it. I don't think that truly exists where I live. Oh, that's terrible if you can't get camembert cheese wherever you live, Android Lost, because it is yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I really like blue cheese as well, but not everyone likes blue cheese because it's got a really strong taste. Legmog says, yes, my plan for the Kickstarter is finish that scene. Good. I just showed you 100%. So the final full quality render with bespoke music, sound effects and voice acting. Yeah. A 3-minute trailer is for your Kickstarter is a great idea. I'm not suggesting to everyone that they should have everything done before they do a Kickstarter, but you must just have enough done to show people what your idea is. So yep, no, that sounds like a great idea. That was one of the reasons I did that. I did the game trailer for the game. It's about 3.5 minutes long, just so that I have something when I do a Kickstarter to show people. But that and the fact too that I'll be streaming my development of it live on Twitch, so not all of it, of course, but some of it. But yeah, no, it's really important to have a list of contact emails that you can send out just to get word of mouth happening. Because the internet's a big place, otherwise you just get lost in the sea of everyone else. And yeah, the short is a good idea for the Kickstarter because it'll show people what you're doing. There's quite a few different Kickstarters you can go with now, not just Kickstarter.com. There's like other Kickstarting platforms. There was one I read about the other day where, with Kickstarter, when you do your campaign, it's generally a 30-day campaign, and so you've got those 30 days to meet your goal, and if you don't meet your goal, of course, you don't get anything. There is another Kickstarter, though, that isn't like that has no set time limit and pays you as people donate to that Kickstarter. I haven't looked into it closely to see what conditions there are to it or anything like that, or what they charge in fees. But I thought that was an interesting idea, because that means that if you don't need to get your goal within 30 days, people can just contribute to you for however long you have that. We'll call it a Kickstarter, but I'm not sure that's the right word. Going. Because that's always the hardest thing with Kickstarter. You've got to, like I said, if you don't meet that 30-day goal, if you don't meet the goal in the 30 days, well, then that's it. You don't receive anything. No one gets charged and you get no money at all. Which can be a bit disheartening for people if they put a lot of work into creating whatever they're making and they want their Kickstarter to help fund them the rest of it. And also make a trailer. Trailer is always a good idea. Legmog says, I think having a complete trailer, the complete first scene, and a compelling pitch that'll be fine. Even if you just had the trailer, I'd say you'd be fine. So yeah, no, that's enough. You don't want to go to a Kickstarter when the thing is finished. You want to go to a Kickstarter when it's like halfway done, or that you got a decent amount to show some people. It's fascinating. Yeah, to be honest, I'm so far off the crowdfunding phase of this project. I haven't looked too intensely into it. Yeah, neither have I. For pretty much the same reason. I'm not planning on doing a Kickstarter for a little while, so I haven't looked into it too closely either. But I just know I noticed an article regarding this other site, this other Kickstarter, Mob. I thought it was an interesting idea because it's different from all the other Kickstarters where if you don't meet your goal, you don't get paid. This one was, you'll get paid immediately depending on what people donate to your project. And there was no end date. I'm assuming that they wouldn't let you do it indefinitely, but you know what I mean. Legmark says, I'm going to kind of cross that bridge when I come to it philosophy. Well, it sounds like a good plan. Why worry about things until you need to? Because there's so much other stuff you got to worry about and do that you don't want to bother with stuff that's not necessary straight away. I've heard Kickstarters are a little bit not as popular as they used to be. I don't know. Maybe that's just for games because a lot of people got burnt donating to a Kickstarter game and the people couldn't finish the game. Again, it gets back to what I was talking about the other day, how a lot of people think making a game is easy and don't understand just how much work goes into making a game. A pilot episode or a film or anything like that, it's the same thing. A lot of work goes into it, but a game particularly requires a lot of different skills because not only you need the graphic skills, you need the user interface design skills, you need the programming skills. So there are all these different areas that you need to be competent in to make a game. It's much more difficult than people think. So you get a lot of people starting a Kickstarter wanting to make a game that think it's easy and they'll just be able to knock it off in 6 months using an off-the-shelf engine like Unreal or Unity. It's not that simple. So yeah, a lot of them came undone and couldn't make their game. So I think that put a lot of people off of Kickstarter for games. People still do kickstart games. I mean, they do. Am I back around it? No, I'm still going all right. I think I might be almost back around though. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my brush from black to white so I can start painting out some of this distressing so we don't get a pattern happening. So I'm going to increase my brush size and yeah, I'm just going to start to paint over some of the rusting so we're not noticing a pattern happening. The pattern is the underlying metallic texture, that's what's causing the pattern. because we don't want a pattern. Pattern doesn't look good, looks fake. We don't have to do it everywhere, it's just in a few spots here and there that it needs to be done. Legmug says, but in terms of what you say about having a mailing list, my immediate thoughts were things like everyone who had come to know from Twitch, even if they don't donate, would be great if they could plug it on their social media. 2, local media where I live, small local papers, media companies, and 3, perhaps online influencer type people. Yeah, I'd be wary of online influencer people. I don't think they're very good value for money. They charge a fortune. And I don't think you really get a good return from those people, generally. For example, people who review animated films on YouTube, all those, if it's a targeted influencer group, then that could be more beneficial. I'll see if anyone like that would plug it. Legmog says, was my message too long that you perhaps didn't know? Sorry, I was just caught up with what I was doing here. Didn't see everything. Now I saw your list. Legmog says, but I'd love to hear your own thoughts on who you would include in your mailing list. Android Lust says, CG Bros and CG Channel on YouTube would host your animation, but I'm not sure if they charge to do so. Sniper Echo, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? What you been up to, Sniper? You been well? How is the project coming along? It's good to see you though. I know you popped in yesterday, but it was right when I finished closing out the stream. No, he's not that late. He's yeah, no. But it's good to see you, Sniper. I hope everything's going well. Yeah, no, I hope everything is going well, Sniper Echo. You're not stressing or anything. We're just painting up our railing section here for the Temple of the Winds terrace. And I'm just going through and removing some distressing so that we don't have a pattern showing up. Sniper says, yeah, the project goes okay. Work project came on board, so twice the workload. Oh no. Legmog says, must have encountered a kitchen or a toilet and thought, what was this strange place, and spent so much time in Phil's stream. Cheeky. You'll get a slap if you're not careful, Legmog. I'll give you a full slap. I will be putting a kitchen and I will be putting a toilet and a bedroom in the house, in the hollow. That will be happening. When we jump back into the next work on it, which will be after this project, I'll put those in. Let's remove some from here so we're not getting a repeating pattern. Maybe a little bit here as well. Maybe through here, remove some through here, a little bit through here. And I think we might be back at the beginning again now. Legmark says, that could indeed be an option, although to be honest, I binge watched a lot of animations on CG Bros and they all started to anger me. Why did they anger you, Legmark? What were they doing? What made you angry? I'm just going to, now I'm not going to distress the bottom edge, but I am going to distress the inner top edge a little bit. That's the last bit we need to do, then I can send it back to Max. Well, actually, then I'll do the two-tone gold, but that won't take long, and then I'll send it back to Max. I must make sure I change my brush back to black. I'm thinking I'm painting away, and I'm thinking, why is it not showing up? Legmark says the technical quality was brilliant, Pixar levels, but my god, 99% of the story was all the same stuff over and over again. Ain't that always the way? Yeah, Pixar animation, they do some beautiful animation work, Pixar. Legmark says the most typical story was two bumbling love-struck buffoons fight each other for the love of a beautiful woman. I swear to God, if I see one more animation which has this plot, I'm throwing my computer out the window. Do you know what cartoon I've been getting into recently? A cartoon called Adventure Time. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It is the weirdest cartoon I have ever watched. It's good, I enjoy it, obviously, because I watch it. But man, the story's weird. Good weird. Creative weird. Yeah, it's called Adventure Time. I'm assuming it's marketed to kids, but some of the jokes in it, I don't know, it's like The Simpsons. They got a double meaning and adults would get it and kids probably wouldn't. But I just like it because it's weird but really creative. Whoever does the writing for it's very creative. Legmark says, like, honestly, these stories are an absolute epidemic in the animation industry. If it was the dean of an animation university, I would initiate an immediate ban on love-struck fools' battle for love of my lady. Andrew Luss says, last cartoon I binged was Gravity Falls. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check it out. So Gravity Falls, hey? Andrew Luss says, well, it was more like 1 to 2 episodes a day, not much of a binge. Yeah, I just came across the Adventure Time on one of the cable channels because I get cable TV. I think it might have been the Cartoon Network that was showing it. Because I like cartoons. What's wrong with that? Why can't a grown man watch cartoons? I used to watch them as a child and I still watch them as an adult. And particularly this Adventure Time cartoon because, like I said, some of the jokes in it there. Yeah, I don't know. If it's aimed at kids, then some of the jokes are pretty adult. Andrew Luss says, but I understand what you mean, Legmog, it's kind of cheesy for animation. I guess they want to appeal to a young crowd, and they misunderstand just how intelligent young people can be. So they pander to like a young crowd, thinking that they're pretty shallow and stupid, or don't appreciate that a lot of young people are really clued in and really switched on, and they don't have to dumb things down or make really simple, crappy stories just to amuse them. That's my opinion, anyway. Because kids are a lot smarter than adults give them credit for. Young kids. The same goes for animals, actually. Pets. Pets are a lot smarter than you think they are as well. Again, just my opinion, but that's all that matters, isn't it? My opinion. Legmog says, I honestly think it's somewhat indicative of some core underlying truth which lies at the heart of many animators' personalities. That is to say, very broadly speaking, as a lot of animators are nerds, social outcasts, and have probably not had much luck and love in their own lives. So they create these plots which these desperate comic relief ugly characters battle for the love of beautiful women, because they themselves, on a profound unknowing level, think this is their own lived experience. Maybe. I probably wouldn't tarnish all animators with the one brush of being one particular type of person, though. I know a lot of animators that don't fall into the geeky mold. Some of them are incredibly cool people. I think it's just they fall back to a formulaic storyline because they think that's what kids want to watch. Because it's worked for them before, maybe. The typical Hollywood stuff where they just keep remaking the same movie over and over and over again. They don't risk doing anything different or new because they don't want to risk it. Which I think is wrong. I think if you take some risks, you're more likely to succeed than not. If you stick to the safe path, I don't think that makes it more likely to succeed than taking a chance on something a bit different as far as the story or something goes. But I guess yes, no, I've known geeky animators, but I've known a lot of cool ones as well. I hate that word cool anyway. What is that? What does that mean? What do any of these labels really mean? 100 Lost says if it's not broken, don't fix it. That kind of situation. Yeah, I really think that's the reason. It's that sort of, yeah. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. This worked for us before. Let's do it again. The same way Hollywood remake the same movies over and over and over and over again ad nauseum. I mean, they might be called different movies, but they're the same movie. That's why Hollywood likes to do remakes, or reboots as they call them now. Because it worked for them when it was released years ago, so they think, we'll just do we'll do the same story and just update it for the modern age. Just do another version of it, a reboot of it. And sometimes that can work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I always think it's better though to do an original. To be original, don't copy. Where's the fun in copying? It's like when I worked in games development. Years ago, it used to be a big thing to do games based on movies. So you'd do a game based on a movie, a tie-in game based on a movie. Like studios would do that. They'd hire a games company to make a game based on whatever movie they've released. So that was very big. But the guys working in the studio, we used to hate it. We hated working on movie games because there's no creativity involved in it at all. You've got to follow the script of the movie. You've got to follow the visuals of the movie. So as from a designer's point of view, we detested working on movie games. We absolutely hated it. Which is why all movie games were generally crap. Because, you know, none of the designers, artists, animators could really get into it because it was rubbish. They didn't want to work on it. They had no creative freedom. That's what I'm trying to say. And so movie game tie-ins now are not, while they still happen occasionally, they're not very big. I mean, I think the last one I heard of was a tie-in game based on the Game of Thrones series, but that's, you know, that's the first one I've heard of in donkey's years. But it used to be much, much bigger than it is now. Every movie had to have a game. Superman Games Android Dust says yes. Sniper Echo says, Phil, in your past Unreal Engine experience, have you ever tried to add some procedural movement to an existing camera, moving along a track, just to add some small movements, sort of like faking a handheld camera? I did look at that, and I didn't use it. You know, when I made the cinematic, I actually did create a procedural shake on the camera that I imported into UE4, but I didn't actually end up using it on any of the cameras. I don't know why. I think I decided I didn't need to. So I did do that. So what I ended up doing was I set up a camera in 3D Studio Max. I added procedural movement there. And then I exported that camera as an FBX and imported that into UE4 so I could just take the animation from the camera and apply it to another camera. So yep, no, I did that, but didn't use it. So you could do it in Max, you can probably do it in Blender. All you need is some sort of procedural shake happening on the camera. Then you export that camera from whatever 3D program you're using and import it into Unreal, and then you can take the animation assigned to that camera and apply it to other cameras. The same way you apply animation to other characters. You load up an animation file in UE4 and you can apply it that way. It's a good thing to do because it does add a lot of realism to a camera movement if you've got a bit of shake on it. If you watch movies and you pay close attention, you'll notice the camera is never completely still. There's always a little bit of movement happening. And that just adds to the believability of the scene for the viewer. Legmonk says, I'm speaking in very broad strokes with that, but it comes from a similar place to when you read about sexual harassment in animation companies. John Lasseter, the guy who directed that wonderful film and tons of rumours about others, just makes you think, dang, maybe this is a poisonous side effect of the cliche socially awkward nerdy type who are amazing artists. Maybe. No, there is no excuse for sexual harassment, whether you're a man or a woman. If you're a man harassing a woman, if you're a woman harassing a man, woman, man, there is no excuse for sexual harassment. I don't care. You don't do it. Don't sexually harass people. It's not cool. It's not good. And I don't care if you're a geek and your social skills aren't good. You just be mindful of that sort of thing. You don't sexually harass people. No problem, Sniper. Legmug says, I'm always adding in a vibrate tag in Cinema 4D. It gives that nice subtle handheld movement. Yeah, it does. It's a good thing to add. It's a good thing. And yeah, it's something you subconsciously don't notice, but once you think about it and you look for it, you can see it. So next time you're watching a movie, a proper movie, not some crappy movie that you might watch on Lifetime or something, a properly shot movie, just look at the edge, and the easiest way to tell is to look at the edges of the frame, like, you've got your screen. Look at the edges of the screen and you'll see that the camera is just constantly moving a little bit. I'm exaggerating it here. It doesn't move that much. Just a little slight movement, either, up, down, sideways. And the easiest place to see it is along the edge of the screen. Because it does. It just helps to add a little bit of realism. I'm just going to go through again, and I'm just going to just remove a little bit of the distressing. I still think there's just a little bit too much happening in some spots. I mean, I want the railing to look worn, but I don't want it to look like it's just about ready to fall apart. And it's important we get this one right because we're going to reuse it for all of those terrace kit bash pieces. So I like to pull back and look at it from a distance. It helps me look at the overall texture as opposed to being up here and not seeing everything properly. Legmug says, yeah, I always find there's this weird kind of mirroring philosophy in live action CGI stuff. In live action, people will go to all sorts of lengths to remove the shakiness and get a smooth result as possible. But in CGI, people want to add handheld shaky look. Yeah, the same with camera lenses and stuff, putting dirt on a camera lens. That's something you probably, you know, in the real world you'll try and avoid. But in the CG world, you actually want to add. It's weird, isn't it? I get where you're coming from, Legmog. I find it weird too. Android Lost says, I call that a breathing effect. Pretty sure it's not actually called that. I guess it's to immerse you into what you're watching. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's the psychology of watching something, I think. Like, our eyes are very good at picking up patterns and very good at picking up things that don't look natural. That's why we can spot bad CG really easily. I think the camera movement just helps to make it look, to make you as a viewer feel like you're in the scene and not watching a scene. Yeah. I think that's the reason they do it. And sometimes if it's a real world camera and you're filming something, you can't help it. Unless you've got incredibly good camera equipment and stabilization, you're going to get some shake. But you're right, it is. I find that weird too, Legmog, the fact that we go out of our way to remove it in the real world, but in the CG world, we go out of our way to put it in. It's weird. Might just remove a little bit from here as well. Maybe a bit from here. And Legmug says, I think part of it comes down to people like what is more technically difficult to achieve. So real life filming with a camera, it's easy to get shakiness, but very hard to get smoothness. But in CGI, it's easy to get smoothness and harder to get shakiness. I know. I know, it's weird. And I think that's the reason why in CGI it's done, because in most real film it does move. So for the believability of CGI, that we want to make the camera move as well. So it doesn't look like it's a computer generated thing that we're watching. It looks like it's been filmed because we have the movement. Adds to the believability. I think that's the reason that they put it in. But it is weird. I do find it weird as well when you think about it. They go out of their way to put it in and out of their way to try and get rid of it, depending on whether it's real life or CGI. Sniper says, I've taken to controlling subtle movements with the sensor data in my phone. I hook it up to the camera in Blender and record movement by holding the phone in my hand and walking around, and I just bake that animation. That's a good idea too, but you might get a bit too much movement doing that. Because you don't want your camera to be moving around like this, unless you're going for that effect. Like, that could be a sort of effect you want for the film. Generally, though, the movement is very subtle, really, really subtle. Like you wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it. That subtle. Legmog says also in CGI it's easy to make super elaborate camera movements, swooping, sweeping, diving, spinning, whatever. So I personally prefer a more somber, understated camera movement. Because crazy camera movements really isn't so impressive. They've done a lot now, these sweeping camera movements on cranes. In the real world, I mean, it's done quite a bit. Simple movements, though, can be just as effective as a sweeping wide camera crane movement. Depending on what it is you're going for, I guess. And of course, it's easy to do those sweeping movements in CG. Well, much easier than in real life anyway, put it that way. Again, I'm just making sure I don't have too much distressing going on. Just removing a little bit here and there. I think we might be good. Let's put the dirt layer back on and we can quickly do that. I'm actually not even going to bother using my pen for this dirt layer. I'm just going to switch back to the mouse. It's just as easy. The sniper says, yeah, it's all about limiting the movement so it's not crazy. Yeah, you don't want to make people sick looking at it by moving it too much. Legmog says, but again, in real life, you're often constrained by a fixed tripod, and some understand it's very typical, especially for low-budget films. So it's very hard to achieve the elaborate sweeping, and thus it's more kind of impressive when you can achieve it. Well, you know they've spent money on the film when they've got those, in real life, when they've got those sweeping camera movements with camera cranes and all that sort of thing. Rails, cameras on rails and all that. But it can still be good. I mean, I used it when I was, well, no, let me undo that. I'm on the wrong layer. That's the one I want. And I want to add a paint layer. And let's change our brush back to that dirt one. Yeah, I used it quite a bit in the cinematic for the house. Oh, damn it. And I want to make sure I change my brush back to black. I thought I added a paint layer. Did I not? Did I add a paint layer to the wrong? No, that's that one. I added the paint layer to the wrong section. I need to add it to the mask. There we go. This is what happens when I don't concentrate. Legmog says, I think part of it comes from I used to do a lot of real life filming and I so badly wanted to create my own dolly crane to really get those sweeping shots and make the film stand out from all the others, no budget films, which you knew were all just done on tripods. Tripods if you're lucky, Legmog. A lot of them I think were just done with handheld cameras, and that's that makes me ill when I watch somebody filming a movie on a handheld. You know, you get that, you know what I mean, that shaking, that it's terrible. I find it really distracting. It's too shaky. And I've seen too many movies you just using a handheld camera with no stabilization at all. So I'm just going through now and removing some of the dirt to bring back some of the gold, so we can get some nice reflections when the sun hits it in our renders. Like the Blair Witch Project, that was a good example of a terrible movie using a handheld camera. I mean, that was, the story. She was filming itself, but I hate that sort of thing. I hate it. I hate watching that sort of stuff. I really do. I want a nice stable camera. If I'm watching a film, I want it to be stable, not moving around everywhere. Because I just find it too distracting. I can't concentrate on what's happening on the screen because because all I can see is everything moving around all the time. Legmark says, yes, I'm glad that the trends of the Hollywood seem to be going back to the camera staying still during action scenes. Android Lust says, I believe the Cloverfield was like, yeah, it was. Cloverfield 1, I think, was. Cloverfield 2, I don't think was, and I don't think 3 was, but yeah, I think the first one of Cloverfield, you're right, was as well. Which is why I've only ever watched half of Cloverfield 1. I've watched all of Cloverfield 2 and 3, but I can't stand that sort of camera movement. It drives me nuts. Because I can't concentrate on what I'm watching. All I can see is the camera moving. Maybe that's me though, because I pay more attention to that sort of thing. I don't know, maybe. Maybe most people wouldn't care or wouldn't notice, or maybe. Andrew Luss says, didn't know there was a Cloverfield 2 and 3. Yes, there is. And they're good movies. Well, they're not great, but, they're worth watching. If you've got a free hour or two, you should watch 2 and 3. 2 is a little bit not as action-packed as 3. 3 is the most, if you like an action movie, go with 3. Because 2 is when they're trapped in a cellar. So it's less about the aliens or whatever they are, and more about the story between these 3 people trapped in this, what do they call it, bomb shelter. So yeah, if you don't like slow movies, 2 is probably going to bore you, but 3 is pretty fun. It's good, and they're all on Netflix, I believe. I watched 2 and 3 on Netflix, so I know they're on Netflix. Wax Kink, it's good to see you, Wax Kink. How are you? How have you been? It is good to see you, Wax Kink. Have you had a good weekend, a good week? What you been up to? Seen any good movies or anything? Made any models? Done any 3D stuff? You don't have to, just curious. I'm just going to go through and move some of the gold from this side now. We've just been talking about filming with using cameras, whether it's handheld or... Because we were talking about actually introducing movement into a camera, slight movement, slight shake to make it more believable when you do CG stuff. Legmark says, I remember my first Michael Bay Transformers film. My God, was that film made me delirious. I know, he likes his explosions too, doesn't he? Wax King says, I'm doing alright, taking care of the family and just now being able to start studying again. Oh, okay, cool. Well, taking care of the family is a good thing to be doing. What are you studying, Wax King? Legmonk says, yeah, apparently Cloverfield 3 was not even supposed to be a Cloverfield film. It was certainly different from the other two. A Cloverfield film, and late into the production, the company that made Cloverfield got the rights and randomly decided, okay, this is 99% finished, but we now want it to be the Cloverfield universe, so literally added in a 10-second scene at the very end, which tied it in. I thought it tied it in pretty well. It sort of explained what happened in Cloverfield happened, which I won't go into detail in case somebody hasn't watched. I thought it tied things up quite nicely. And I know Netflix got the the rights to it quite late in the piece, because originally it was going to be sent to the cinema. And I don't know what the story was as to why it wasn't, whether it wasn't up to scratch, like the studio didn't think it was good enough for the cinema or something, I don't know. Then Netflix bought the rights to it. Android Lost says the last 10 minutes is when everyone starts showing up. Yeah, I know it is, isn't it? What is it with that? I don't know, why do you guys do that in my stream? I'm happy they're here, whether they're early or late, but I have noticed, yeah, a lot of guys drop into my stream like in the last 15 minutes, which is cool. Do I stream too early for you guys? Would it be better if I stream later? I can't really do that now because I've been streaming for a couple of years and people have got used to when I start streaming. So, Wax King says, I'm studying more 3D. Honestly, was in no way whatsoever intended to be related to Cloverfield during most of its production, which seems kind of hilarious. Hang on, I'm mixing up I'm reading two different users and mashing their chat together. Wax King says, I'm studying more 3D and hoping to get into animation and fix and FX this year. Okay, well that sounds like a good plan, a good goal. We're all for you guys and girls doing the 3D and visual effects or anything to do with anything creative is always good. Legmug says, but yes, the film honestly was in no way whatsoever intended to be related to Cloverfield during the most of its production, which seems kind of hilarious. You got to make it work any way you can, I guess, haven't you, Legmug? Because films are expensive to make too. Sniper Echo says, hey, I'm here more than 15 minutes. You are. You've been good. I'm not talking about you, Sniper Echo. I'm just making a general observation. No, you've been very good, Sniper Echo. Android Lust says, true, rare but true. Legmog says, you fussed Wax Kink. And I know I did. I know. I don't know how that happened. I started reading the line of Wax Kink's chat, and then halfway through I merged it into Legmog's chat. It was bizarre. Wax King says, well, it works. I don't have too long anyhow, just saw you were there and wanted to say hello, and once I start getting some models done, I'll post them on the Discord so I can get your guys' thoughts. Yes, do. And it's great for you to it's great seeing you, Wax King, so whenever you get a chance, pop in. And yeah, you know the Discord server where you can post your stuff, so when you get something made up and you want to post it in the Discord. We can all check it out. Legmog says, I'm studying 3D and hoping to make films not related to Cloverfield. That's my life mission. But I didn't think the number 3 Cloverfield film, I didn't think it was bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. Like I said, if you've got a spare couple of hours that you want to kill, then, you could do worse than watch the Cloverfield 3 film. Android Lost says to Wax King, good luck with the studies because it seems like it's never ending. Wax King says, yeah, anything to do with 3D feels like that sometimes. Feels like a never ending grind. Just things change so quickly too. Like there's new software you need to learn because things have been updated. You know what I mean? I guess that's just to do with technology in general, because things get, like I said, updated and changed so quickly. You're constantly learning something or other. If you're in 3D or in animation or film or any creative industry. Even programming, because new languages are created, stuff is updated, so you're constantly learning. It can get a bit exhausting sometimes, I have to admit. But that's the nature of the beast. You just got to do it. Just going through and making sure. I think we're just about done and I can send this back over to Max. Okay, let's pull back and check it out. I think that should be fine. I'm going to do a save here because I haven't done one in a while. You do notice though that the algorithmic painter isn't crashing, so my advice to people if they want to update to the new version until algorithmic fix the problem is don't. When I say the new version, 2019.1 is fine, it's what I'm using here, but not the new version that was released a few days ago. The update. Legmark says, oh, by the way, have you ever seen the documentary Life After Pi? No. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that because I heard about how badly the animators and the artists were treated on that movie, and I refuse to watch a movie and support a director that treats people that badly. So I've never watched Life of Pi. Wax King says, you have a good night, everyone. Yes, you have a good night too, Wax King. Thanks for popping in and being here. I do appreciate it. Good luck with the 3D stuff and the study. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Android Lost says, I've heard of it, Legmog. It's on my long to watch list. Yeah, I won't watch it because, let me rename this. Because of the way that the director treated the people that were making the special effects for the movie, they were very badly treated. We're going to call this one Main Outer Rail. And again, I can't type or I can't spell. There we go. Let's export the textures. I'm actually going to export this at 4K because it's large and we're using it on all of the Kit Bash pieces. Android Lost says, what's the animators were treated? Yeah, I don't know about the animators. I just heard that all of the visual effects, the people that worked on the visual effects, whether they're the 3D, the animators, were treated very badly. Yeah, I refuse to support any movie or director who treats people badly. I don't care what your excuse is. Like they weren't paid well, they were made to work extraordinarily long hours, all that sort of stuff. They were exploited basically, because a lot of the visual effects I believe were done in India, and they exploited them, and that sucks. So I won't watch it. I've never watched it. I refuse to watch it. Let's load up our textures. And it's going to be called Main Outer Rail. That's the one. So we want the normal map, the color map, metallic, which should be this one, I believe. Yep. And lastly, the roughness map, which should be this one. Yes. Okay, we want to make sure we turn them on, so I'm going to use the normal map, the color map, the metallic map, and the roughness map. We're going to make it unique, and we're going to increase the number of lights again. So we'll go to 3 lights, and we'll export our shader. Main outer rail. It's selected. Let's just add a bitmap so I know what it is. This one. And let's assign it to our object. Legmark says, well, Life After Pi is a documentary and the CG artists all made it. Kind of chronicles big flaws in how the entertainment industry treats these CG companies. I couldn't believe the problems I myself have as a tiny freelancer with the epic scope creep, crunch time, getting messed around money-wise, and still what hugely happens in a big mainstream CGI company. Life After Pi is a free documentary you can see on YouTube, only about 30 minutes long. I'll keep an eye out for it. Android Lost says, okay, I'm mistaking Life of Pi and Life After Pi. Android Dust says, I may actually watch Life After Pi today as it looks like it's 30 minutes on YouTube. I might check it out too. I'm just going to do the same thing here to all of these. I'm just going to open up the group. Because we're using the same texture, it should be fine. We should not have a problem. We're using the same UV maps, I mean. Let's just close that group. And move on to the next one. Sign out texture. Close our group. And move on to the last one. Sign. And close. And that's all fine, isn't it? Yes, no, that should be fine. Now let's just move back to the main one, the 3 version that we're working with. This one here. Select our railing, assign our texture. Our shader. It's actually a shader, not a texture. And that's just helping for us to bring some of the gold from inside here out toward the outer edge of the temple. Probably see it better over here with the gold. So yeah, we're just pulling out some of the gold from the middle to bring it out toward the... I'll do the same thing for these ones here. I'll make them gold as well. Just select something so Max has something to lock onto. You can get it into a position where I can see it. And there we go. Let's do a quick save so we don't lose the work we've done. Legmonk says, yeah, it's fascinating to watch. It would be interesting to see your thoughts on it, Phil, being as you used to do feature film work. See if any of the stuff they talk about in the documentary chimes with you. I'll check it out. Android Lost says, but those thumbnails for Life of Pi looked very appealing. More horror stories from the 3D industry. You're going to find horror stories in every industry, I'm afraid. But particularly in the design and 3D industries. Legmog says, in the documentary it shows Ang Lee, the director of Life of Pi, receiving his award. In this thank you speech is thanks everyone except the CGI artists. He even thanks the damned lawyer. It's like come on dog. The CGI artist basically made the film. Yeah, that's what pissed me off too. Yeah. If you're a CGI person in the 3D industry, don't do any work for this director because he's an asshole. If you're working for a studio or you're a studio director, don't take him on as a client. You know, don't. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, like Mug says, that was what I heard about the film. I'm streaming it. I heard it on some top videos, YouTube or something. Yeah, no, I heard the same thing. But I think we might leave it there for today, guys and girls. When I come back on Monday next week, we will continue texturing this up. We're getting there. We're getting to the stage now where we can start reusing the same textures for the different bits, or the same smart materials at least. So it should start to texture up much more quickly from now on because we've already created a few smart materials we can reuse. So on Monday when I come back, we will continue texturing up the temple. I do want to thank you guys and girls though very much for hanging out with me, being here and watching. Thanks Legmog for showing your short. Again, if you missed the short, you can jump on the Discord server and you can view it there. Yep, I'll be back on Monday. You guys and girls have a great weekend. Take care and I'll see you all on Monday hopefully. See you guys.